Today I'm going to be showing you 5 things that I wish I knew before I was a professional mermaid.
Audio Jungle.
Welcome back to another Mermaid Monday where we talk about everything mermaid. Now if you do not already follow me on Instagram, by the way you totally should, I post a lot of free mermaid resources and content there daily. Then you have seen me kind of post a brief overview of this subject. I'm also going to make this a focus of my blog post this week. This is information that up and coming mermaids should totally hear. A lot has changed in the 4 years that I have been in the industry, and in mermaid world that sounds like a really long time because there's so many new people popping up and it's so cool to see everybody coming up, but it's really not that long of a time in any career. This career is ever changing, the community's always changing, everything's always changing. So this is just some things that I wish that I knew when I started and that I think that you can benefit from if you're thinking about becoming a professional mermaid. The first one is Silicone Tails. I love them and I hate them. They are overrated, but they are underrated. Complete contradiction of itself. So for the longest time in the mermaid world and in the industry, you've had about 3 basic options. You had a silicone tail, a fin fun tail, or a do-it-yourself make your own tail. That's not a whole lot of options for performing. If you would show up in a kid's party in a fin fun tail, you'll kind of ruin the magic because a lot of kids have them, especially today. So many mermaids popped up and it's becoming so mainstream that you can't even go to a party, a mermaid party, without somebody having a tail of their own. Which is great, mermaids in training, but it will kill the magic if you're trying to portray like a real character or a real mermaid or whatever, you know. Like a lot of kids like to believe in that even though they pretend to be one. And if you show up in a fin fun tail, they'll be like, oh, you're just like me, but you're just like a performer person. You know what I mean? Like they know. They're pretty savvy. They know. So for a while, it was like this almost elitism in the community where it's like, oh, you don't have a silicone tail, you can't, you know, you can't swim with us. When that's not fully the case, it's kind of like that, but it's more of like, hey, you shouldn't wear this tail because it'll ruin the magic for the children, which is the opposite of what we're trying to do. But if you want to do this as a hobby, that's totally fine, you know what I mean? But you wouldn't get taken seriously unless you had a silicone tail. But the thing is, now, you don't need a silicone tail. I thought you needed a silicone tail because that's all there was. But there are many of options now. You can have like the onesie tails from Mertailor. You can have finfolk fabrics. You can make your own finfolk fabric. There's Vancouver Mermaid, swim tails. There's a ton of tail options to have that are not silicone. Silicone is probably the highest quality of tail you can get. It's also a barnacle and the fluke. Like it's a pain, okay? They are heavy, you have to have something to slide into them, like a lubricant. They like take a lot, they're expensive, they damage kind of, not fairly easy, but they do damage. Like the upkeep for them is so much more than a fabric tail. Like it's a whole thing. I personally use them because I like the way that it feels, I like the way that it swims, I like the texture of it, I like them. That's my personal preference. But I would never go up to you and be like, hey, you can't do a party because you prefer a finfolk fabric tail. Like that's not how it is. Usually with those kind of tails, there is a small chance that somebody else might have that same tail, but the fact is a child is not gonna wear a finfolk fabric at their birthday party, you know, unless they're already in the mermaid community. Most of the time they'll use like a Mertailor guppy or a fin fun or sun tails or one of those off of eBay that you really shouldn't buy because the monofins suck, but whatever. So that is one thing that I would definitely tell my younger self is, hey, you don't need it. You like it, you can have it, but you don't need it. The second thing I wish I knew is kind of an annoying one, I know, but people have a preference. Like, if you're gonna be a professional mermaid and you're gonna be trying to book gigs, people have a preference for how, there's a mosquito in here. People have a preference for how they like you to look, and that's okay. Some people want a Barbie mermaid, some people want a dark siren-y mermaid, some people, you know, don't really care. Some people want a realistic mermaid. When I was first starting, I was more of a realistic mermaid. I had my natural hair, I had a tail, I had like a top that a mermaid would probably wear. Like I was going for realism. And I've always kind of gone for realism. When I did my take on The Little Mermaid for cosplay parties, whatever, I went for realism. And I come to find that like I would see other mermaids getting like a ton of bookings, and I'm like, why don't they want to book me, you know, when I'm like a real mermaid? And looking back, I can tell you it's because I was not a stereotypical Barbie. I did not have the cool colors or anything like that. Like I was pretty basic. And a lot of people like the flashy. So I have kind of adopted the style, but I also fell in love with the style. And like my changes both have practical reasons and personal reasons, and it's just my preference now. It's like I like to be a realistic mermaid, but I also like to add in that extra flair now. And I think that's also a reflection of my happiness level, because I'm much more happier now than I was when I first started. And you can like see that in my content and the things that I create in my photo shoots and everything. Like you can see a noticeable difference. I'm more comfortable, I like to dress up, I like the flair, I like all of it, but I also like to be a realistic mermaid. So I've kind of combined the two, which is a really good step in a professional direction to be able to appeal to more clients. Number 3 is a fun one. If you've been on my channel for a long time, you will know how annoyed I get with the merverts. They're annoying. One thing I wish I knew before I even got into the mermaid community was how annoying they are, but how easily you can stop them. Like, there's a summer network of merverts. People post about them when one pops up. I really haven't seen a big problem with them in a long time, because it's usually the same like 5 or 6 people, and once you block them and all of their accounts and all of that, they'll eventually give up on you. And you won't get too many left. Like I still get some comments on here, even YouTube, where it's like, oh, I want to see you like take your tail off or something, or like how long can you hold your breath with like winky faces, and like it's just some of the things are very innocent when you like first read it, and then you get to the emojis and it's like, oh, you're a creep, that's weird, don't do that. But they're out there. So the thing I wish I knew was that they are there, but you should never respond. Just block them and be done. And that's like my advice for you. If you're dealing with a mervert, just block them and be done. At the same time, they're also unavoidable. So if like online, you can at least block them. In person, you have to like deal with it. So sometimes random men, sometimes even I've had like a birthday girl's dad or uncle say something creepy, and I'm just like, you're at a kid's party. Don't do that. Don't do what you just did. But I also understand a lot of the crude humor, because I have like family friends and people in my family who have made some kind of jokes where I'm like, wow, if I didn't know you, I would probably be highly offensive. So I can understand the difference between being humorous and being a creep, which there is like a little bit of a line, and sometimes that gets crossed. Just don't cross the line. But yeah, they're unavoidable. You have to find your way of dealing with them. Block them, be done. If it's in person and they're like, oh, mermaids don't wear bras, and be like, well, humans don't wear clothes, and I see you wearing clothes, so. Or if they're like, oh, how do mermaids breed? Be like, we lay eggs. Next. All mermaids know each other. That's one cool and great thing that I do love about this community, is how connected and tight-knit we are. Even though there's so many of us and so many people coming up in the community, it's amazing how much we like really interact and really get to know each other, even through conventions, through online, through like locally. It's so cool how tight-knit we are. Like, if you know a professional mermaid, I probably know her. Like, people come up to me like, oh, I saw a mermaid in California, and I'm like, red hair, green tail? They're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, I know her. Yeah. Then I'll be like, oh yeah, that's so cool, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, no, like all mermaids know each other, and it's so cool. But the bad thing is, if you do something pretty detrimental to either the entire community, the industry, or you're just a terrible person, then we will all know. We will all be we will all be aware and you will get blacklisted. So just be a good person and don't do anything to kind of sabotage other people, and you'll be safe. It's a wonderful community and people are very supportive if you're trying to do good. Number 5 is one big ol' one, all right? Number 5 is there is drama, it is petty, stay out of it. When I first started, I just came out of high school, so I was kind of used to drama and stuff, but I also took it a little bit more seriously than I probably should have. Of course, when it came to like local drama, it was actually affecting my business and that really hurt, so I did have to step in for those kind of situations. But sometimes things will pop up where I should have just kept my mouth shut. I've had to delete videos before because I was talking about it. I thought it'd be a good idea, but it wasn't a good idea. You know, I was new. I was trying to be a peacemaker. Just if it doesn't directly involve you or your business or your brand, just stay out of it. Sometimes people will come at me and they'll start things and I'm like, why are you doing this? And I'll just block them and be done, and they'll just drag it on, and I'm like, sorry, I apologize to you already, but like, you're dragging it out just for the sake of using my name to not really get views, but to get like attention for themselves. And I've definitely had that happen just because I was a larger creator on one platform, so they used my name to kind of get attention for themselves. But they did it in the wrong way, so it didn't really work, showing by their results on that. But yeah, if there's just drama, just stay out of it unless it directly affects you. If it directly affects you, try to reach out to them. If not, just block them. If they're talking smack behind your back, block them, be done with them. Don't even talk about them. People bring them up, be like, who? I wish I had my teacup right now. I have one coming in from Faith. I did get one, and I would just so have that teacup right now. Just be like, oh, drama who? Yeah, just gonna spill this a little over here. Yeah. So that is all I have for you. I'm really surprised that my camera battery lasted this long. For the past like 10 minutes, it's been on like red, like it's about to die. So I'm gonna go ahead and close out of this video. That was 5 things that I wish I knew before I became a professional mermaid, or when I was first starting in the mermaid community. If you are new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you'll be notified for new uploads. Go ahead and check out my other social media sites. Down below are all of the links for that. You can follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, subscribe to my blog. I'm also on TikTok. I always forget to mention that one, but that one doesn't really need any help. But I'm also there if you want to join in on all that fun. Right, Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know if these are things that you are glad to hear, things that you wish you knew, or things that you would tell your guppy self. This has been a wonderful Mermaid Monday. I had a lot of fun making this one. So I will see you in the next video. Mermaid kisses and starfish wishes.